Bryan London II, a two-time first-team All-Sunbelt Conference honoree and one of the most dependable tacklers in the history of Texas State and Southwest Texas football. If you had to choose just one Bobcat linebacker to make a stop at a ball carrier one-on-one, London would certainly make the short list of candidates and be at the top of that list for a large number of Bobcat fans. Just how accomplished of a tackler was London? Where does he rank among some of the all-time maroon and gold greats? How many mountains in Bobcat football history has he reached the top of? Let's talk about it in this edition of Record Breakers. The first record London broke started back when he wore the number 55 his freshman season. That year, in 2016, London racked up 141 tackles, a record for tackles by a Bobcat player in his freshman season at Texas State. In fact, London's 2016 season is the only freshman season to rank in the top 10 in program history, coming in fourth place. Not only did London stand out among prior Bobcat greats, he was among the best tacklers in the nation that year. His 141 tackles ranked second in the FBS in 2016 and was, by far, the most among freshmen that season. The next record is one that technically London didn't break, but at least bended. That's a team record for tackles in a game, which London tied this past season, posting 22 tackles in a double overtime win over Georgia State. The only other Bobcat to record 22 tackles in a game was the great David Mayo in 2014, also his senior season, and also in a win at ULM. When looking at the top individual tackling performances in a single game in program history, London is the only player who appears on this list 3 times, while Mayo does twice. The next record shows just how consistent London was throughout his 4-year career. He's the only Bobcat ever to lead the team in tackles all 4 seasons. In fact, before his senior season, London was one of just 3 players ever to accomplish that feat in 3 seasons, let alone 4. And finally, the biggest record of them all, the record for career tackles while wearing a Bobcat uniform. Coming into his senior season, London already ranked 7th on the all-time tackles list and needed 107 by season's end to claim the top spot himself, and well, London got to work. By just the 3rd game of the season, London climbed up 2 spots, surpassing Clifton Black and Cyril Friday. By the end of his next game, he tied Myron Coleman. By the next game, he tied Sean Woods for 3rd. And by the next game, he became just the 3rd Bobcat player ever to reach 400 tackles. Fast forward to the final game of the season, and London needed just 3 stops to pass up Greg Pitts for the most in program history, and he did 11 better than that, finishing with 14 to break the record. So, from his first game when he racked up a dozen stops in a triple overtime win at Ohio, to his last game near the shores of Myrtle Beach in South Carolina, to his 24 games played at Bobcat Stadium, London just made tackle after tackle after tackle, more than anyone in program history. For Record Breakers, I'm Bryan Freeman.